Hi students, welcome to Code Type Management. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the default methods in interface. And in this lecture, I will discuss about the static methods in interface for the Java 8 features. So there are several features, new features for the Java 8, and the static methods in interface is also one of the most important features. So before starting that static methods in interface, so let's go back to the JDK 7 and the older versions. So you know that the scope of static method there. So we will come to a conclusion that static methods could be defined in a class, abstract class, final class, but not in the interface before the Java 8 versions, right? So however, from the JDK 8 onward, we can define static methods in interface as well. So you may ask some question like, what is the need of defining the static methods in interface? So, okay. So for that, I will discuss those things. So first of all, what is the static method? This is the first question, right? So, okay. So the static method is a method that is uh, included in the class in which it is defined rather than with any object. So every instance of the class shares its static methods. Okay. Every instance. This is the main key point. I'm writing this also. So every instance of the class shares its static methods. So now the next question is, what are the static methods in interface? So you have learned in the default methods in interface, like it is also the similar. So static methods also have a method body, means its implementation, and however we cannot override them. Needless to say, like the static methods cannot be overridden. Okay, but their default methods can be overridden to the implementing classes, which methods will be required. So for that only it will implement. Okay, means it will override. But for the static method, we cannot override them, but it has the method body or implementation. So next, how to declare a static method in interface. Okay. So the process of declaring a static method in interface is just we need to define a static method in a class. So I'm writing through which you can get like interface A is there, right? And inside that, I'm doing one uh, method M1, which is public static void, and M1 is the method. And inside that one body with what I have said. So one method body will be there. So this is just printing something. Static method in interface from Java 1.8. Okay. So through this, you can declare a static method in the interface. So the next question is, why we need a static method in the interface? So think about it. Like if you want to provide some implementation in your interface and you don't want this implementation to be overridden in the implementing class, then you can declare the method as static. Hence, we can secure an implementation by having it in the static method, as implementing classes cannot override it. So moreover, we can define the static methods in the inside the classes to use them as the general utility purpose or general utility methods. So similarly, we can define the static methods in interface to use them as the general utility methods. But there was one difference between these default and static is that, like, the default will not be implemented in the classes, but which class require that method, they can override. So there will be no force. But for the static, it is totally not overridden. This is the basic difference between the static method and the default methods. Okay. So why we need a static methods? I think you got the answer. Next is how to define the main method inside an interface, right? So since we can have the static methods in interface starting from Java 8, so we can define the main method inside the interface without violating any rule of the Java. Okay, so it will also properly, it will compile and run this interface successfully. So I'm writing that one. So I am just copying the above one, and I'm just do like void main. Okay, so this is static main method in interface from Java 8. Okay, so through this, basically, you can define the main method inside the interface. So now, can we have the main method inside an abstract class and the enum? So basically, apart from the interfaces, uh, so what I have shown you in this interface means this static method is inside the interface. So in abstract class and enum as well, we can do. So for example, like for the, it is the static method in interface. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you like static method uh, inside abstract class. So basically for the abstract class, it is valid from the Java 1.4. So this is, I'm writing here, valid from Java 1.8. And for the abstract class, this is basically valid from Java 1.4. Okay. So it was previously there as well. So public abstract class, suppose B, and it also has the main method. I'm just copying the same thing. Okay. So static main method in, I will do here abstract class from Java 1.4. Okay. So in this way, you can just declare the static method inside the abstract class. Okay. And the another thing was like for the enum. So for the enum, it was also valid for the from the Java 1.5. Okay. So inside enum, and it is valid from 1.5. Okay. So how we'll do that? Okay. So public enum, this is C. Okay. And inside that, in the same way, we'll do like main method in Inam from Java 1.5. So basically, this is the format for declaring the static method inside the Enum as well. Okay, cool. Okay, the next question is what like how to call the static method of an interface. Okay, we need to call the static method of an interface, right? So basically, we are talking about the static methods inside the interfaces only. So they will be called with the name of the interfaces only. We cannot call them with the help of implementing classes or any other way. So for example, like you can observe the below code I'm writing like, so this is the interface I'm again writing here. So this is the interface. Okay. So now class X implements A. Okay. So now this is the main method. And one thing I have missed in everywhere, like their string args require, right? As this main method always take the string array arguments type parameters. Okay. And here, so this is the interface and this is the method I have called. Okay. So this is the only way to call the interfaces static methods. So the next question is, um, can we override interfaces static methods? Okay. So interfaces static methods cannot be overridden in implementing classes or in extending interfaces as they are not available to the child classes by default, right? So however, we can declare the methods with the same signature in the implementing classes and they are valid, but we will not consider them as overridden methods. Hence, in this case, method overriding concept is not valid. So also from the previous versions of Java, we know that the static methods don't participate in overriding. Okay. So I think you got the answer. Like we cannot override the interface's static methods. So basically we will just do one thing like I'm writing that one. This is suppose interface, then class test one. So I'm doing this as T1. So it implements a, okay. And there is the public static void one. And this is printing something like, so here something different is there. So we can use that method like M1 was there and M1 here also there. We can use the method but the method body will be different. So it is not the proper overriding case, right? So we are not using properly M1. We just redefining this thing. So this is not the overriding case. So not overridden method. Okay, cool. So also another class. Okay, also they can implement that one. Okay, method name is same, and it is also not overridden method. We can implement that class. Okay, so the next is, how will you define an interface after introduction of the default and static methods? Okay, cool. So an interface declaration can contain the abstract methods, default methods, static methods, and constant definitions as well. So the only methods that have implementations are default and static methods. So a class that implements an interface must implement all the abstract methods declared in the interface. So the interface body can contain the abstract methods, default methods, static methods, but an abstract method within an interface is followed by a semicolon, but no braces is there. Okay, as abstract method does not contain an implementation. But in the case of default methods, so default methods are defined with the default modifier, and static methods will also will be declared with the static keyword from the Java 8. But till the Java 8, all the abstract, default, and static methods in an interface are implicitly public. Okay, so you can omit those public modifier, and all constant declarations defined in an interface are implicitly public, static, and final. Okay, so once again, you can omit these modifiers as well. And one more thing I need to declare here, like for the from the Java 9, like Java 9 introduced the private methods and private static methods in interfaces. So static methods in Java 8 cannot be private, but from Java 9 onward, they can be private as well. Okay, so till Java 8, that those were the public static methods, but from the Java 9, the uh, uh, private static methods also introduced, right? Okay. So the next question is, can a method be declared default and static together in an interface? So no, a big no. A method inside an interface cannot be declared as default and static together. So default methods cannot be static and static methods cannot be default. So if we will do so, like I am doing one thing. So suppose this is the interface and this is not public. This is suppose default. Okay. So default static void M1, and this method will be invalid. Okay. Invalid method. So default and static togetherly not possible. Next is, what is the benefit of using the static methods in interfaces? So static methods in interfaces offer a way to organize the utility methods related to the interface, and it also helps in making the code more readable, more maintainable. So they also allow for the code reuse without the need for a common base class, right? So that's why it's important. So can interfaces have both static and default methods? Yes, obviously the interfaces can have both static and default methods, and as much as possible, no limit is there. Okay, default methods provide a default implementation, while static methods are useful for the uh, utility methods, which are most common type, and they cannot be overridden. Is it mandatory to provide an implementation for the static methods? in an implementing class? No, it's not mandatory to provide an implementation for the static methods in implementing classes. So we can use the default implementation provided by the interface, and that's all, I think. So if you have any more questions, we can discuss those things as well. So I think I have covered mainly more topics and all, right? So if you have any questions, then you can just write down in the comment section. So thanks for watching. Just keep watching, keep like, subscribe, and practice as much as possible. And you can ask more and more. No issue.